Allah, so let me stray. Please guide my way onto the path of my deen. Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah, I'm calling your name. Oh, Allah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another special edition of Let's Talk on Huda TV. I'm your host Arqam Rashid. In this episode, because it's the end of Ramadan and we're coming towards the end of this beautiful month, we want to speak about a Ramadan resolution. What things can we change in our life from this year to the next? So let's start off as usual by introducing and welcoming our guest to the show. On my right hand side, brother, if you can give us your name, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself. Go ahead.
Sure. My name is Waba. I'm a CPA and an MBA holder. I work as a financial consultant. I was born in the States. I lived for the States for a while, and currently I'm living in Cairo, Egypt.
All right, Wael, I want to welcome you to the show. I'm looking forward to this conversation, and I want to see what you have in store, inshallah, for Ramadan resolutions.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Brother, next name, if you can give us your name, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself. Go ahead, inshallah.
Yes, my name is Yusuf Kurma. I'm a Philadelphia native, recent expat to Egypt, activist, author, poet, now aspiring student of knowledge, hoping to study in Al-Azhar, inshallah ta'ala, very soon.
Inshallah, may Allah make that easy. That was a long list. I mean, inshallah. Once again, I want to welcome you to the show, and I'm looking forward to this conversation as well.
Pleasure was mine.
If I can come over to this side, brother, if you can give us your name, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself. Go ahead.
Absolutely. My name is Hassan. I'm from New York City, and I'm here with the intention of studying in Al-Azhar University, and inshallah, increasing my Islamic knowledge.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
New York, so nice. You got to say it twice.
I didn't say it twice, though.
Hassan, I want to welcome you to the show. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
That's a dua.
Brother, next time, if you can give us your name, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself. Go ahead.
My name is Mohammed Tawfiq, the only person from UK on this show. Britannia. 22 years old. I'm studying Arabic at the moment with the intention of studying at Al-Azhar University.
All right, London, you don't got to say it twice. It's not that nice. Mohammed, I want to welcome you to the show. I'm looking forward to this conversation. All you guys have previously joined me on an episode, and we had a lovely conversation. So hopefully today we can produce another wonderful episode, especially for Ramadan. So now, as we know, the month of Ramadan is coming towards an end. What we want to do is all these good deeds that a person has been doing in Ramadan, and everything that extra that he's done that he doesn't do throughout the year. What's a good way for him to continue these good deeds? So let's start off with that question. Inshallah.
Sure. I think one of the most important things that we should continue doing going forward after Ramadan, and of course during Ramadan, is praying on time. Praying at the early window of the prayers. The Prophet ﷺ was asked so many times, what's the most beloved action to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And the Prophet ﷺ constantly answered, prayer performed on time, prayer performed on time. So making sure that we pray on time on the early window of the prayers and not leave the prayer to the last moment is something very important. In chapter 19, verse number 59, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Allah says, فَخَلَفَ مِن بَعْدِهِمْ خَلْفٌ أَضَاعُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَاتَّبَعُوا الشَّهَوَاتَ فَسَوْفَ يَلْقَوْنَ غَيًّا. But there came after them successors who neglected prayer and pursued desires. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is describing the successors who neglected prayers and pursued desires. So they are going to face punishment or face evil. The beauty of the Arabic language here is I want to just touch base on two words in the verse. فَخَلَفَ مِن بَعْدِهِمْ خَلْفٌ. فَخَلَفَ and خَلْف. فَخَلَفَ and خَلْفٌ. The only difference between them is the vowelling mark or the tashkil. فَخَلَفَ and خَلْف. فَخَلَفَ, when it's mentioned in the Quran, usually it refers to good people. And khalf, usually it refers to bad people. So subhanAllah, Allah says khalf, meaning bad people, and then He describes these bad people right away. They followed their desires and they did not pray. And some scholars say meaning they did not pray. They did not, either did not pray at all, or they did not pray in time, or they did not pray properly. So this is the importance of praying and the salah. We should pray on time, and we should take advantage of these blessed days in Ramadan and keep continuing after Ramadan, that we make sure we pray on time.
Okay, that's one important thing that we should change. Yusuf?
Yeah, one of the gems of Ramadan is the discipline it gives to the soul and the self. So if you think about it, in Ramadan, the three greatest urges or desires that the human has is the desire to eat, the desire to drink, and the desire to procreate. So in Ramadan, you go a whole day from sunrise to sunset without drinking, without eating, and without approaching your spouse. So if you can do these things at your own pace, at your own free will, you have the ability to restrain from any sin other than that, which is easy, which is not natural. Because it's natural to want to eat, it's natural to want to drink, it's natural to want to procreate. Allah Ta'ala put those things within inside of us, but it's not natural to want to drink alcohol. It's not natural to want to be a liar. It's not natural to want to cheat people. So if you can abstain from those things, you have the capacity to abstain from anything else. And that's what Ramadan shows us, that people have the ability to be on their best behavior, to have the best akhlaq. And if you can do that on your own free will, you can do that 360 days a year. That's what Ramadan shows. So that same discipline, that same zeal, that same desire to want to please Allah Ta'ala, you can carry that within and with outside the month of Ramadan.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting. I never looked at it that way. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does tell you to restrain or refrain from those things that are natural and those things that you naturally are inclined towards. And if you can do that, like you said, then how difficult could it be for you to refrain from those things that you don't naturally incline towards? Mane, I want to come to you. What are some good ways in which a person can continue this change after Ramadan?
Yeah, so one thing is to realize that the Lord of Ramadan is also the Lord of Sha'ban, Lord of August, Lord of September. Even on the holidays, He's still the Lord. And what is prohibited in Ramadan, it's also prohibited in August, September, even on the holidays as well. The very same things are prohibited. But one thing we should look at is one of the reasons behind Ramadan, and one of the main reasons actually, and that's to re-establish a connection with our Lord and His glorious book, the Quran al-Kareem. And once we've reconnected with our Lord, and what a beautiful thing that is, and I may add, why would we want to sever that? And then I think that's a question we should continuously pose ourselves. Why would we want to sever that beautiful connection that we've attained with our Lord throughout Ramadan?
Yeah, that's true. Mamadou?
And
just to echo what Brother Yusuf said about the discipline Ramadan gives you, I find that people are very negative about people who maybe start practicing during Ramadan only. And people say, oh, you've just become Ramadan Muslim, or you're a fake Muslim this month, yeah? And I find that quite discouraging in the sense that what I find Ramadan gives me, and other people can testify, it shows you your ability. What can it shows you what you can do, how much worship you're actually capable of in the day. We wake up, we'll pray on time, we will read more Quran, we're in the night, we're praying, standing, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I show that Ramadan kind of shows you what you can be throughout the year, for the rest of your life. So I would say that during Ramadan and to kind of continue after Ramadan is to keep doing something small but continuous.
Yeah, the small deeds, it doesn't matter how small a deed is. The important part is that you do it continuously. You do it every single day. You do it as often as possible. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even says that it doesn't matter to Him if the deed is the smallest of deeds, as long as you're consistent. It's consistency that matters.
Sincere with it.
Exactly.
And if I may add, the Imam Ahmed was once asked, when should we rest? And Imam Ahmed says we should not rest until one of our feet is in the paradise, which means there's no resting until we've obtained certainty.
Yeah, that's true. Now, one thing is that Ramadan is a month of change. The whole point of Ramadan is to give you a fresh start, to help you to change your life, to help you to remove those bad deeds that you've been doing throughout the year. But what I want to do is that let's speak about some of the ways in which we can change from one Ramadan to the next Ramadan. So now, what changes should a person make from the end of this Ramadan, since we're coming towards the end of this month, until next Ramadan, like some goals that he can have by next Ramadan? So go ahead, Wa'il, you can start.
Actually, alhamdulillah, you know, I do the basic stuff, but you know, something I started doing this Ramadan, I started doing it heavily, and you know, I think I would go forward and make sure that I always do it. It's what's called the secret bond, or supplicating for my brother Muslim without telling him. There is a hadith about the Prophet ﷺ shows that you know, that if when you supplicate and make dua for your Muslim brother without telling him, the angel you know, replies and say Ameen wa laka bin mithl, Ameen, and you may have the same reward or the same ajr. So nowadays in Ramadan, the supplications is well accepted from Allah subhanahu azza wa jal. Supplication, the reward of supplication is even multiplied during Ramadan. I will start, you know, making sure that even when I make dua to my brother Muslim, I don't tell him that I make dua in his absence for him, to make sure it's sincere for Allah subhanahu azza wa jal. Also, when I do this dua, I think what kind of good deeds and blessing he has. I'll make sure that I pray to Allah that he retains this blessing on him, and I think as well as the like what kind of bad deeds or shortcomings he has, and I pray to Allah subhanahu azza wa jal that always to guide him to stay away of these sins or shortfalls. This is something I would wish to do it every month, not and continue doing it till next following Ramadan, inshallah.
Allah aid you, inshallah.
Thank you. Thanks.
And I want to tell the viewers that that could be a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ that you can revive, and that you can tell your friends and families about it so that they can revive that sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, which is making dua for a brother of yours or a sister without telling them. And to remind yourselves, you can put it down in your notes or write it somewhere that you remember that, let me do this sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and let me revive this. Maybe every day when you make dua for yourself, after prayers when you make dua for yourself, make dua for somebody and you don't need to tell them. So pick a person, make dua for him. Next prayer, pick somebody else and make dua for him. And this is a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ that you can revive by yourself, inshallah. Yusuf, I'm going to come to you. What do you think are some of the changes a person can make, or how can you make these changes by next Ramadan?
Yeah, as it relates to change, we look at the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We know that Allah ta'ala created the heavens and the earth in 7 days, as some of the ulama say. And we know that Allah ta'ala is capable of all things. It wasn't necessary for him to create the heavens and the earth in 7 days. He could have did it within a blinking of an eye or less than this. But rather he took time to create the heavens and the earth to show that great matters, great things take time. And change doesn't happen overnight. So this is the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whoever is looking to change, know that change doesn't happen overnight. Change doesn't happen between salah and salah. Change takes time. And great change is something that's molded, that you step into slowly, day by day, step by step. You work your way into changing. And sometimes we spend too much time trying to find things instead of creating them. So if you want to change, don't look for the change outside, but look for the change within yourself. Create the change that you want to see. Speak it into existence. So if you say, man, I'm going to make 5 daily salawat tomorrow, keep on telling yourself this. And this is the way Allah Ta'ala said, kum fayakum, be, and it is. He didn't have to say be. He could have willed it and it would have been done, but he spoke it into existence. So we speak things through the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you want something good in your life, you speak it. You say, Ya Allah, I want to fast on the month of Ramadan fully. Ya Allah, if you're a sister, I want to wear hijab. Ya Allah, I want to change my life in this way, Ya Allah. And you keep on saying it, you speak it to your friends. Ya Wa'il, I'm going to be a hafiz of the Quran, inshallah. Ya Arkam, I'm going to attend and graduate as with Mumtaz, inshallah. Inshallah. Keep on saying it. I mean, I have it, but inshallah, you keep on saying it. Right, the exams coming up, they're pretty rough, right? But inshallah, you keep on saying it, and it will put you in a mentality that will begin to change your mind, and your mind will affect your actions.
Yeah, and it's important. I mean, even when you're memorizing, the best way to memorize is by repeating it, because you build it into your mind. Mani, I'm going to come over to you. What do you think are some good ways?
Just
of
to elaborate on
Sure,
what
sure.
Brother Yusuf was saying, I believe also that you shouldn't give yourself too much of a load. You want to make sure you give yourself what you can do, as you want to be persistent in it. So it's better to read one line, one verse of the Quran every single day for the rest of your life than reading the Quran 3 times every day for 1 month. So I believe definitely give yourself something that you can actually do. But but definitely you want to continue doing the deeds that you've been doing in the past Ramadan. But one thing I believe that we should definitely persist in is fasting. So, because fasting, its reward is with Allah alone. And like brother, yes, like, and it is really, narrated that some of the believers, when they're crossing the sirat, so the bridge above the hellfire, they actually run out of good deeds. And Allah confirms to the angels that this believer has run out of good deeds. However, he has a reward that lies with me alone, that the angels did not even know about. And that's the rewards of the fasting that he used to do. And to allude to what Yusuf was saying earlier, that Allah knows that He created us with these urges to eat, to drink, to procreate, as Yusuf said. And he recognizes these sacrifices. And He holds that reward personally to Himself on the Day of Judgment. So staying steadfast in fasting after Ramadan, leading up to the next Ramadan, I believe that we'll be elevated by the time we reach the next Ramadan, and we'll be doing deeds far greater than the deeds we begun doing in the previous Ramadan.
And a good way to keep up with that is finding those days that are sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ to fast, like Monday and Thursday and a few other days throughout the year that are from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and fast on those days. That way you get the reward for following the sunnah. And like you said, that the reward of fasting lies with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Mahmoud, I want to come to you. What's your thoughts?
I think probably the most important question to ask ourselves during Ramadan, coming to the end of Ramadan, is how much did we change in Ramadan? How much did we achieve in Ramadan? And then a question before that, how did we achieve it and why did we achieve it? We achieved it in Ramadan because we felt a connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We felt a connection with our brothers around us, people who were all fasting together. And that was our drive and our motivation. So the motivation hasn't changed. Allah hasn't, a'udhu billah, hasn't disappeared after Ramadan. Allah is still existent. Allah is still our Lord after Ramadan. So I think if you realize that, that should be the driving force for you to carry on being, excellent outside of Ramadan. And again, the key we said before, Arkham, is it is consistency. Something small, but keep doing it. And, progress yourself. Check yourself. What did you do in Ramadan? Or what did you fall short on even? I didn't get to finish the Quran. Okay, you can finish it. Why didn't I finish it? Was it too long? Was I trying too many pages? Was I rushing too much? Was I not even benefiting from the meaning? So I think if you ask yourself those questions, that could, give you a drive and motivation to carry on being excellent outside of Ramadan.
Okay, and now, how does a person know what to change? So say this Ramadan, he wants to make changes before next Ramadan. How does he find out those things that he should change within himself? How does he know these are my issues, or these are the things that I lack? And then that way he can tackle that. How would he figure this out? What's a good way to do that? Wa'il, if we can start with you.
Yeah, actually, I will refer first as in my situation for the praying a 12 rak'ah of sunnah every day. I mean, in Ramadan I'm very energetic and I have this power, and alhamdulillah I make sure that most of Ramadan I get to pray it every day. As we know that the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, if you pray the 12 rak'ah of sunnah every day, a house is built for you in paradise. 2 rak'ah before Fajr, and then 4 before Dhuhr, 2 after Dhuhr, and then 2 after Maghrib, 2 after Isha. I find that in Ramadan it's very easy to pray the sunnah, because before Fajr you are up anyway for taking this early meal or a suhoor, and then at the Zuhr time, most likely at work place or even at the nearby masjid, you are praying Zuhr in congregation, so you have this time for praying this 6 rak'ah of sunnah. After Maghrib, you're still light and you didn't eat yet, so you can pray the 2 rak'ah right after Maghrib. And then when it comes to Isha time, you are already there in the masjid praying Taraweeh. So it's easy to accomplish this 12 rak'ah of sunnah. The challenge is how to go forward and keep maintaining this 12 rak'ah going forward. I like something said about the sunnah. A sheikh said that constantly trying to pray a sunnah is acting like a safeguard to the mandatory prayers. So if you're praying the mandatory 5 prayers plus the sunnah, and one day you feel like lazy or something, you're losing the sunnah, but at least you're sticking with the 5 prayers. But if you're praying only the 5 prayers and you're lazy, you're missing one of the and you will be held accountable for not praying one of the 5 prayers.
That's a very good way to do it. And I think, for example, a person who doesn't pray any of the sunnahs at all, the way for him to start is choose 2.
Right.
Choose 2 with one of the prayers and pray those every day. After a couple of weeks, when you get comfortable with the 2, add another 2. That way you build it up slowly instead of trying to pray 12, because if you try all 12 at once, then after a week, that's it. You lost all your energy. You're not going to be able to continue it. But if you build with 2 and slowly work it all the way till 12, then that way you will be consistent. And when you get to 12, it won't be as a burden.
Right.
It won't be as something, oh man, that's it, I'm worn out. You built up to that stage, so now you can pray 12 easily. Yusuf, I'm going to come to you. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, we know that the Prophet ﷺ said that I have not been sent except to perfect akhlaq, good manners. So oftentimes when you go to different restaurants and different places of business, after you receive service, they'll send you a sort of survey or something like this to ask how was the service, how did you find it, was it excellent, was it okay, was it bad, right? So I think as Muslims, and perhaps this is a bit unconventional, but we should go to our closest counterparts, our mothers, our fathers, our spouses, our children, our brothers and sisters in Islam, and say, how do you find me? Is there anything that I can improve about myself? Because our identity is a social construct. So sometimes we may see ourselves as somewhere, man, I'm mutaki, you know what I'm saying? I got the juice, right? I'm a sheikh. I pray all these salawat, and the devil starts to play with us, right? And we think we're at this level when really people are saying, like, this guy, man, he's terrible. I hate to be around this guy. Sometimes even in our overzealousness and our religiosity, we may become annoying to people, right? You have somebody, you're just talking about a basketball game. Well, Allah Ta'ala said in His easy, easy. Sometimes people shove the Islam down your throat. They make it uncomfortable for you. So the best way is to ask your companions truthfully, honestly, in a secure way, and say, listen, how do you find me? Am I a good companion to you? Am I a good neighbor to you? Am I a good father? Am I a good husband? How could I be better? And you will find that people will disclose some things to you if you had the right etiquette that you never even saw within yourself. Like, wow, I didn't know I did this. I didn't know I harmed you in this particular way. So go around, and it doesn't have to be a physical paper survey. It could just be a conversation between you and someone, a trusted person. And perhaps you will take this list and begin to better yourself in all those ways. And you'll be shocked to find that there will be a line, a similarity, a line of similarity between all the people that you ask of things that are very similar that you do, that may be annoying to people or that may be discomforting to people, and you begin to change those things.
Yeah, and another way to do that is whenever you hear a khutbah or a speech or any hadith of the Prophet ﷺ or any sort of wisdom, question it. Do I have that in me? Is there a lack of controlling one's anger? Do I treat my family as the Prophet ﷺ said to treat the family? Question these things, because sometimes we say, oh, alhamdulillah, the Prophet ﷺ said don't get angry. I don't usually get angry, but you're not really questioning yourself.
Yeah.
Question yourself, do I get angry? Do I get, if somebody hurts me in a certain way, if somebody says something to me, does that blow, my mind? And if it does, then those are the things that you need to start working on, because every single person has certain issues that they need to deal with. And the way to do it is to recognize it, number one, that you have those issues, you have those problems, and then you can tackle them. If you don't even recognize that you have those issues, like you said, sometimes you think that, okay, I don't have any issues, and then when you ask the people around you and they say, well, yeah, you kind of talk too much. Whatever the issue may be, then you realize, oh, actually, I do talk too much, or actually, yeah, my breath does stink, or whatever it may be.
It's Ramadan, man.
That's a good excuse. Whatever it may be, when you realize that the people around you are noticing these things that you didn't notice yourself, then that's something you need to correct. Before I come to you, Hassan and Mamadou, we're going to go for a short break, so stay tuned. As soon as we come back, we will will be speaking about some of the ways in which a person can realize what he needs to change. Stay tuned.
How perfect my Allah is, and I praise Him. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, Subhanallah. How perfect you are, Allah, Subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Muhammad, the most common name in the world. Why were so many parents interested and still are interested in naming the children Muhammad? What are examples of his love, his compassion, his mercy, his dedication, his sincerity, his bravery? How did he balance between private life and the public sphere of life? Why is he known as the greatest mercy sent to humankind? Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Join us as we learn more about the balanced and beautiful personality of perfection.
Subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah.
Welcome back to Let's Talk. Now, before we went for that short break, we were discussing ways in which a person can change from one Ramadan to another. So, Hassan, we were going to come to you and we were going to ask you this question. What's your thoughts on this? How can a person change from one Ramadan to another?
Is it what are things we should try changing? Well, I believe that in the 21st century, there's a problem in the 21st century that we should actually identify within ourselves, and that's actually seeing the wrong in others with a sort of 20/20 vision, right? And we're blind to our own faults. So I believe in terms of seeking out a change in us, we should identify the wrongs and the incorrectness in ourselves that we see in others, perfect them, and then we can go on and go about life as we should. But beyond that, we should definitely keep in mind that we should need to purify ourselves and refrain from judging others for their faults. For we might have the very same faults but don't realize it.
I think we're seeing one common point here being mentioned over and over again, which is to realize the issues that a person has. Without realization, the person can't change it. If he doesn't know that he has an issue with something, then how is he ever going to change that issue? Mahmoud, I'm going to come to you before we move on to the next question. Same thing, what's your thoughts on this?
I feel that, first of all, Ramadan is an excellent month for reflection. It allows us to look at ourselves, and a scary reminder is that devils are chained up, the shayateen are chained up.
Right.
So now you realize, damn, these things are not what shaitan was telling me to do. These things are myself. I think that's a kind of a reminder, and what are those things? So Ramadan really lets you, who are you? Looking at yourself, Ramadan lets you realize, who are you? What are those things that you fall short on? And I feel that, again, reiterating what everyone else said, is that, take a mirror to yourself, not a physical one where it's going to be that of a person, or you're going to be talking to that inner voice. What do I fall short on? What must I improve? And I feel that once you start asking those questions and responding to yourself, or get someone to respond to you, that will aid you in, changing yourself for next year.
Yeah, and I think, even if you write it down, it's beneficial to write down the things and the ideas that you want to accomplish by next Ramadan. So for example, this year's plan, from this Ramadan to next Ramadan, I want to memorize at least 3 juz. So I write it down, that's my first thing, 3 juz. Then the second thing, I backbite a lot, I want to change that. The third thing, I don't go to the masjid as often, I want to change that. So think of things that you want to change, and write those things down, and then write down how you can come about that change. So I want to memorize 3 juz. How can you memorize 3 juz? Split it up. 3 juz into 12 months. How many do I need to memorize every single month? How many do I need to memorize every single day? So then, that way, by next Ramadan, you can actually accomplish that. Don't just tell yourself, yeah, I need to memorize 3 juz, and just that's it, leave it. How are you going to accomplish that? What are your plans? Do you actually want to memorize those 3 juz? Because to us, it doesn't seem like that you planned it, or that you've even broken it down to how much you need to memorize a monthly, daily.
Most definitely.
So that's one good way of doing it, to write it down and then make plans of how you will bring about that change. Now let's speak about some of the benefits of these changes. So now we've decided that a person wants to change from one Ramadan to another. There's some good ways he can do it. There's some ways he can plan these changes. But what about the benefits? What will he get out of these changes? What will he achieve by next Ramadan? Wa'al, if we can start with you.
I guess he'll keep monitoring himself and making sure whatever good traits, for a Muslim did acquire during the month, make sure that he keep maintaining these good things and stay away or less with the bad deeds on general. You know, the companions before, they used to keep, like after Ramadan, for 6 months, they keep asking Allah to accept their
exactly, the
deeds.
Salafs.
Yes, the Salaf, to accept the past Ramadan. And then the next 6 months, they are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep them alive to attend the following Ramadan. Living through Ramadan, and alhamdulillah that we had this blessing, it's something very valuable that Allah gives us during our lifetime. We have to think how many Ramadan we'll attend on general in our lifetime. 30, 40, 50, 60. Every Ramadan is a good opportunity. Like Brother Yusuf just said, it's where the gates of paradise are opened, the gates of hellfire are closed, and Satan's or the devils are chained up or locked up. So with this positive energy coming out of Ramadan, we should keep like doing the getting close to Allah on different actions, following the Sunnah, reading more Quran. Like Brother Arqam was just saying, one more thing is trying to like seek resolution with any body who we have like issues with or problems with disputes with. We're approaching Eid time. It's a good chance that we can visit or call up, text, send a Facebook message or something to any body who we have problems with.
And if I may add in regards to reading Quran, I think we should just read the Quran just for the sake of reading it, but rather we should deeply ponder the Quran. When Allah
contemplate it.
أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. They do not deeply ponder this Quran, or their hearts chained. So that's a good message.
Yusuf, I want to come to you. What do you think are some of the benefits of these changes?
Yeah, as Allah Ta'ala said in the Quran, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. That Allah Ta'ala will not change the condition of the people until they change what is within themselves. So if you look at the world through this scope, that my actions directly impact the state and the status of the world, that I can actually be the change I wish to see in the world. So as Socrates once said, when I was younger, I used to want to change the world. But now that I'm older, I want to change the galaxies within myself. So certain times we look at all the problems within the world and say, I can't do anything. I'm just a single being. I'm just a small being. But by your actions, you can have drastic impact on the world. And this is just not hypothetical, speaking. If you look at individuals that were mountains of people, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. One individual, I'm working on it, yeah? One individual that can drastically change the world, that were, mountains of people, not, mountains of human beings. So you look at the world is made up of communities, and communities are made up of families, and families are made up of what? Individuals. So one individual has the impact, has the capacity to change the world. And Allah will not change the condition of the people until we change what is within ourselves. So by you changing your own actions, your own capabilities, changing your own insight, the way you see the world, you have the capacity to change the world. And also Allah Ta'ala will not destroy a people. He will not shame a people so long as there is one person amongst them that is muti'an lillah. One person. All it takes is one person to be obedient to Allah, and you will save the rest of society based upon your obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
And it's very important for people to remember that change starts within yourself. You can't complain about the trash if you throw trash on the floor. And you're part of the problem. If you change yourself, and every single person thinks that way, that okay, let me just change myself, eventually that society will change and they won't have that trash problem, for example. Mani, I'm going to come to you. What are some benefits of change?
In terms of the benefits, I think we should realize just who benefits from the good that we do. And it's none other than ourselves. We're the only we're the only people that benefit from what we do. It's like it says, وَمَنْ يَشْكُرْ فَإِنَّمَا يَشْكُرْ لِنَفْسِهِ وَمَنْ كَفَرَ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِيٌّ حَمِيدٌ. Or like Sulaiman says, وَمَنْ شَكَرَ فَإِنَّمَا يَشْكُرْ لِنَفْسِهِ وَمَنْ كَفَرَ فَإِنَّ رَبِّي غَنِيٌّ كَرِيمٌ. Right? We're the ones that benefit. We're the ones that benefit when Allah allows us to die upon La ilaha illallah. We're the ones that benefit when the harshness of the grave is lightened for us. We're the ones that benefit when the beacon of light lights our path in the day of judgment. We're the ones that benefit when Allah enters us into His Jannah by His mercy. We're the ones that benefit. So I think we should bear this in mind. The benefit's only for us, for none other.
Yeah, and human beings by nature are selfish beings.
Selfish creatures. They are indeed.
Mohammed, you're a selfish person.
No, I mean, I like to say that I think Ramadan is what you make of it. Ramadan could be a month where you just end up being hungry, thirsty, tired, exhausted, and complaining, and then you've left Ramadan no different than when you entered it. Or it could be a month of where you realize what the person you can be, how much worship you can do. And again, just to reiterate what Hassan said, the change only benefits us in this world and the next. In this world, because if you look at, for example, a non-Muslim country where all of us are from, all of us have been or raised up, in that month, the non-Muslims can tell it's Ramadan. I'm telling you, because they say that the Muslims just seem a bit different this month. Why is it that whether even the mosques are more full, they recognize these things. Muslims are on their best behavior, like, we're supposed to be anyways, but, for this month, we are trying to be, muhsin in this month. And non-Muslims, no matter where you are, they recognize this. They say that something is happening with Abdul in the office this month. With Muhammad or Ahmed, something has changed this month with them. They're praying. They don't used to bring their prayer mat to work, but it's this work they're praying. So I find the benefit, we benefit, that's an excellent dawah tool. And I don't know about you, but where I was from in London, in the UK, many shahadas took place in Ramadan.
Inshallah.
Because people recognize something different about people. You people are not like anyone else. And especially in non-Muslim lands, we are similar to non-Muslims in the sense that we dress the same, we speak the same, act the same. But in Ramadan alone, we're different to everyone else. And non-Muslims recognize this. So the benefit is for this world and the next world.
Yeah, it's true. And these are the actions that show people that, Islam is different. And even though this is supposed to be something that you're supposed to be doing all year long, but the fact that Muslims are able to do it in Ramadan shows that they're capable of doing it. Now, the last thing I want to speak about is how we can keep track of these changes. Now, a person has changed, alhamdulillah, in Ramadan. He's made his resolutions for next Ramadan. How can he keep track during the year? Because sometimes we fall weak and we're not able to keep up with the different resolutions that we made, and then we might give up hope. How can a person keep track of these resolutions, and how can he keep up with them?
I think, first of all, by making sure that he stays within the proper crowd, proper friends. This is something which reminds you always with the, holding yourself accountable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And like I said before in another episode, the thinking about death is very important. You don't have to think about it all the time, but considering it and thinking about it, every day we see young people, healthy people pass away, even very famous athletes. So back to the statement which says, the pious person who said the statements, the death is an arrow which has been released to you, and your lifetime duration is the time this arrow reaches you. So if we think about death this way, we think that it's an arrow coming sometime, and at some point of time it will reach me. So thinking about this way will always keep you focused on like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, getting close to Him on hereafter, and going slow on desires and daily, I would say, vicious cycle.
Okay, Yusuf, I'm going to come to you. What are good ways a person can keep track of himself?
Yeah, I think back to back in the States, when after the 1st of January, if you go to any gym, you'll see the gym is jam packed, right? Everybody's in the gym, working out, getting their, body. This is the New Year's resolution, right? 2 weeks later, the gym is empty. A month later, nobody is there, right? Because in the beginning, you have this zeal, I'm going to work out, I'm going to get my body together. And then slowly but surely, you lose interest, you lose that zeal. But for me, what I did was, at the beginning of the year, of course, we got a gym membership, but I surrounded myself with people that were much bigger and much stronger than me, and that were about the gym life, right? So when I gave up, when I wanted to be tired, I had brothers that would come at my door and knock on the door like, Yusuf, we're going to the gym. And I'll be like hiding in the window, like, you know, trying not to, but they would come and get me. So surrounding yourself with good friends, good companions, like when you're 5'10", and 160 pounds, and your friends are 6'3", like 260 pounds, like you have to get your weight up, right? Get bigger, go home, right? But for me, I didn't have the option to go home because my companions were always motivating me.
They were making sure you're there shooting in the gym.
Exactly, right. I was there shooting. That's hilarious, man. Inshallah. So, you know, they were there to motivate me, to encourage me. The same thing with your iman. If you be around people that are strong within their iman, if you have difficulty making salat, be with somebody that always making salat. So just by you being with them, you know you're going to pray 5 times a day. Whatever it is that you're dealing with, be with someone that has the strength in that particular area. And wherever they have weaknesses, perhaps you may have a strength in that area as well. So it's a give and take sort of thing.
And it's important to remember that there is an emphasis in Islam about surrounding yourself with companions or with friends that are righteous, that are good. Why? Because it will encourage you to do good. And this concept of peer pressure was recognized by the Prophet ﷺ, that if a person surrounds himself with people and with friends that are always up to no good, then he's going to fall you know, with them. He's going to be involved in those things that they're doing as well, because they're his friends. That's who he's hanging out with. Hassan, I'm going to come to you. What are some good ways a person can keep track?
Well, it's said that one of the ways of knowing that your Ramadan has been accepted after the fact is that you persist in the good deeds that you were doing in Ramadan. That's actually one of the signs that Ramadan has been accepted. So definitely keep track of the good deeds, definitely persist in those good deeds. And I actually wouldn't worry about keeping track of them. I'd keep track of goals, yes, but in good deeds, I'm wary of keeping track of good deeds, as it can lead to insincerity. You can begin to say, oh, I've gifted so-and-so this and this, and so I deserve this and this and this. You should leave that to the angel on the right. He's good at, you know, tracking the good deeds for you. And just try to be as sincere and humble as possible.
Okay, that's a very good way to do it. And one thing that you did mention was that you shouldn't try to keep track of your good deeds, which is important from one angle, we can say, in terms of it doesn't constantly tell you that I've done so many good deeds, you know, I've definitely made it. I've done so. I've been giving out, you know, sadaqah left and right. I've been praying. I'm definitely, you know, good to go. From that angle, yes, it's good. But the other angle you need to remember is to keep track of the things that you wanted to accomplish. So if a good deed, for example, if you said, this year I want to increase the amount of sadaqah I give, that's something you need to keep track of. Because are you living up to that? So that next year you can say, you know, I've reached my goal for this Ramadan. Next year I want to increase my sadaqah even more. I want to double it. That way, as your life progresses, you become a better person. And each year you build on it. Yes,
commenting on what you just said, you know, the companions, or the scholars describe what you're saying, that usually to make sure that you are, you know, as a Muslim progressing, when you look to people about the amr of the dunya or whatever relates to our life, look at the people who are less than you. And then when you are looking at, you know, or thinking about the hereafter and your status with Allah, look at the people better than you. So always there, you know, you feel like you are behind, I want to do more. You want to do more.
Yep. And Mamadou, I want to come to you before we end this episode for today, inshallah. Just the same thing as everybody else. What are some good ways a person can keep track of his goals in Ramadan?
I mean, I think Wael made an initial point of remembering death is also a good way. And I'm always reminded of this famous story of the man who, you know, he stumbles into a jungle, in the jungle, he gets chased by a lion, he finds a rope and he grabs into the rope. And then, you know, and on that rope he discovers a pot of honey and he sticks his finger into it and he licks it and then he forgets about everything's happening right now. And on that rope there are 2 mice, black and white mice, and they're biting away at this rope. And then the metaphor for that, they say that the lion was death chasing you. The rope was how short your life is. The mice, black and white, was day and night biting away at your life. And the honey you had for that minute was this dunya and how short it was. So in that 1 second, you forgot everything. I remember, you know, the dunya for that one moment. So I would say that's also been a kind of reminder for me how short this life is and how we only have this life to affect the next.
And how there's rats and
We only have this world to affect the next, you know. Only we don't. Once we pass away, that's it. We can't. No, our actions are done. Except obviously the sadaqah you did, which is obviously important. That lives on. But in terms of what we physically can do, that's it.
That's done.
So I would say, get real and be real. If you know you're struggling to wake up for Fajr, don't say to yourself, "I'm going to do Qiyam or Layl every night." That's not. It's not realistic for you.
Priorities.
Priorities. Realize what can you do and work towards improving it, increasing it. But what can you do at the moment and work with that. So.
That's a wonderful example to end the show off with. I want to thank all you guys for coming out here, sharing your thoughts and stuff, and I hope you guys are enjoying your Ramadan so far. And dear viewers, I hope you guys are enjoying your Ramadan. Let's try our best to create some sort of Ramadan resolution for ourselves so that we can change from this Ramadan to next Ramadan. We've made many changes during the month of Ramadan. Let's try to be consistent on those acts of worship that we started doing this Ramadan, and let's also make a plan of what we want to add to our life in terms of ibadat by next Ramadan, and let's try to figure out a way in which we can apply that in our lives. And until next time, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How perfect my Allah is, and I praise Him. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, Subhanallah. How perfect you are, Allah. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, Subhanallah. How perfect you are, Allah. Subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah, Allah, Subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah, Allah. I'm calling your name, Allah. I call you, I need you, Allahu Akbar, Allah. Your mercy is great.